everything's working. We're good to go. All right, the time has struck, so let us begin. My name is Matthew Cloud from Eagle Point Funding, and today we are going to discuss the Department of Defense SBIR 21.1. We're going to start off really quick with a brief overview of federal funding for those of you who are new to it, and then we'll dive right in. All right. So every year, the United States federal government gives out literally billions of dollars to support research and development efforts. In fact, the proposed budget for 2021 has not been finalized. However, the proposed budget was around $142.2 billion. Now, of that $142.2 billion, we focus on this red part here, which is the part allocated to private industry. It's about $30 to $60 billion. And this is sort of the lake in which Eagle Point Funding fishes out of for our clients. Now, all of this money is completely non-dilutive. Now, what does that mean? So it means that in exchange for this funding, you don't give up any percentage of equity in your company. You do not give up any rights to the IP, not the IP that you currently have or the IP that you would devise underneath the guise of one of these grants or more of these grants. And third of all, you're not going to have to give up any board seats, and the federal government doesn't want to tell you how to run your business. They don't want to tell you how to do the R&D. Really, they just want to give you money to develop the technologies that they need. Now, contrast this with dilutive funding. Traditionally from a venture capitalist or an angel investor, these guys are great and a totally crucial part of every startup's journey, or most startups' journeys. But you know, they obviously require transfer of equity, sometimes partial or full IP rights, you know, board members, things like that. The United States federal government doesn't want any of that. They really just want you to develop the technology that they want to use. Now, I want you guys to all know this QR code is on every slide. If you just hold your smartphone up to it, you can book a call directly with me to discuss privately potential engagement between Eagle Point Funding and your company. Everyone that does book a call with me while on this webinar or while this webinar is active, then you are actually eligible for an extra month of Eagle Point Funding's service. I'll talk more about that later. Our traditional program or traditional contract period with our clients is 9 months, but you book a call through this QR code just by holding your smartphone up to it, and you get a 10th month. So that being said, what does the federal government invest in? They invest in 4 main areas: defense, cyber, advanced materials, and energy. Now, if you don't fall into one of those 4 categories, then there is an other topics category, which has virtually every other technology sector in it. So the bottom line is that if it is deep technology, the federal government wants to fund it. So here are just a few companies that got their early beginnings with federal funding. You know, it is in my opinion, I know this is a biased opinion, but it's also an honest one. It is a crucial component to every tech company's reoccurring revenue stream. The federal government, the U.S. federal government, has a lot of money, and they want to stimulate technological development coming out of the United States. You could be one of these companies, and you know, not only these companies, but staples that we use every day all got their start with federal funding, like Siri or GPS or even the internet. You know, all got their start with federal funding. So, in fact, so there was an study done in 2012 by the Milken Institute that measured the private sector investment. So this return on investment on federal funds that were given out, you know, over a period of 8 years. And what they found is that 8 years later, companies that got federal funding we're able to leverage that, that award into an over an 800% return on investment when it came to raising capital from private investment. Now, we say it's the hallmark of quality. The idea is that you become the gold standard. You become this creme de la creme, not only to private investors who want to offer you more for less of your company, but also to customers. I mean, how cool would it be to be able to put on your website, endorsed by the Department of Defense or funded by, the Department of Navy? It's when people see that, they recognize that you have been vetted. You have been vetted by one of the hardest VCs in the world, the United States government. So why do they do this, right? I mean, I mentioned a few times, they're seeking solutions to agency challenges. Now, the federal government realized, in about, 40 years ago now, they realized they worked with large-scale federal contractors like Raytheon or Lockheed Martin or Northrop, or even large systems integrators like Microsoft or Intel, or things like that, companies like this. And, these guys are really great at developing the technologies that they already develop. But when it comes to innovating, it's oftentimes a lot more costly for these large-scale contractors to innovate, to create new technologies. And furthermore, they're not so motivated to do so from within. Rather, what they do is they reach out to you, they reach out to the private sector, they reach out to small business, and they say, you have this really deep, innovative technology. We want to partner with you. We want to become we want to buy you out. We want to, and then what do they do? They go and they sell it to the government. So the federal government realized, years ago that why are we doing this? Why don't we cut out the middleman? Why don't we engage small business? Why don't we increase the competition when it comes to having federal contractors, when it comes to having suppliers for the technologies that we need? So here's how the system really works. So first, it starts off by them identifying pain points that they have within their agencies. There are, every acronym you can think of puts out federal funding opportunities. Then they post this opportunity for R&D funding. Then they see what you guys come back with. They see what kind of submissions they get. They see what kind of proposals there are. And then, they decide to make an investment in you, evaluate your performance. And at the end of the day, this is what it's all about here, people. It's all about giving you the opportunity to become a federal contractor. And now I'll get there later, but the second reason we say is it's seed money for private industry, right? We say there are both altruistic and capitalistic motives at play here, but let's be honest, people, we're talking about the United States government. Even the altruistic motives have capitalistic intentions. So that being said, they're interested in stimulating small business, helps with job creation, helps with putting the U.S. federal stamp on the technology that's pushing the boundaries of technological innovation in the world, things like this. So they have both altruistic and capitalistic motives. It's interesting. I love the statistic down here. For every $1 that the United States government spends on supporting R&D, they get back $2.30. That's a 230% return on their investment. So, people say, oh, well, what's in it for them? That's 230% return on their investment. That's what's in it for them. Now, this 230% comes back in the form of tax dollars, whether it's, product taxes on the products that you're developing, or employment taxes on the jobs that they're helping you to create, or, even taxes on the supplies and facilities and materials that you purchase with the grant money that you actually receive. So bottom line is that, they're getting, it's a win-win is how I say it. Beautiful. So how is this broken down? There are two different types of funding mechanisms. Now we have The SBIR, or the SBIR, which stands for the Small Business Innovation and Research Fund. This is very popular. Most of you have probably heard of the SBIR program. It is coupled with the STTR program, which it stands for the Small Business Technology Transfer. Now, I'm not going to discuss the tech transfer too much today, although most federal agencies, especially the DoD SBIR, has tech transfer opportunities. The tech transfer is exclusively available for small businesses that partner with a nonprofit research institution like a federally funded R&D center or a university. So if you have this sort of STTR relationship, make sure that you book a call with me. Just hold your phone up to this QR code, and you'll be linked right to my calendar, and you can select the time right there. We love to work with STTR relevant companies because there are a lot less fishermen in that lake. So we were able to find great success for our STTR applicable company. Well, we find great success for most of our companies that work with us, but we love to work with STTR companies. So that being said, you'll recognize that this SBIR STTR makes up such a small portion of the federal funding landscape, with over 96% being distributed in what are called BAAs, or broad agency announcements, or other topic categories. Now, I'm going to go through SBIR and BAA, and I'll even talk about, I know this is supposed to be a DoD SBIR webinar, but I put one BAA in there that is probably going to be relevant to most of you on the call. So that being said, let's talk about SBIR. So SBIR, this is very important, very, very important. In order to qualify for SBIR, you have to have under 500 employees. You have to have your R&D available to be performed in the US. It doesn't have to be performed in the US currently, but if you win one of these SBIR grants, the R&D has to be done in the US. And this is the most crucial. 51% ownership of the company must be held by US residents. This does not include venture-funded companies. So if your company is more than 51% owned by a venture capital, you're not going to qualify for SBIR. But that being said, you do qualify for the other 96% of funding that's available. So here's how the SBIR works. Now, a lot of people look at these numbers and they say, well, I can't create a new technology with $256,000. Well, that's because SBIR is predicated on this right here, this B2G endgame. Now, there are 11 different agencies that participate in the SBIR program. Now, that doesn't say that there are only 11 SBIR cycles. Like, for example, the Department of Commerce has both the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and they have NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, that both have separate SBIR cycles. But there are, there are many SBIR cycles, but 11 different agencies overall that participate. And the idea here is that people they want to become an end user of this tech. So this is an opportunity for you to take your core technology and apply it to a specifically outlined use case as solicited in one of these SBIRs. This is not calling for brand new technology with at a TRL level of 0. This is calling for technology that has already been time tested, but just needs to be fine-tuned in order to fit a federal use case. So that be like, for example, I had a client of mine who, before he signed with me, that he just spent $20 million developing a semiconductor chip. Okay. And he says, let's just call him Joe for now. And Joe says to me, he says, Matt, I've been trying to get in with DARPA, and I've been, but it's just this boys club. I can't, I can't get them to look at me. And I know that I have stuff that Intel wants. I know that I have stuff that's better than anything that's out there. But, I don't want to go through the pain of going through the GSA. to become certified to sell. Even if I do that, I still don't have my end user. I still don't have my customer. He says, can you help me? And I said, Joe, I said, SBIR. I said, you go through the SBIR process. If you go through the motions, yeah, you're not going to be able to build a new microchip with or a new semiconductor chip with $50,000 to $256,000, or even $400,000 to $1.6 million. But what you're going to be able to do is if you go through the process, they know who you are. You're on the radar. And by the time you get here, then you're going to be able to contract. Then you're going to be able to get your tier 1 client that you've been looking for out of the federal government. Then you're going to be able to go throughout various agencies in the DoD. And actually, this is interesting. If you go through the SBIR process, you actually check off the boxes of the Defense Procurement Act, allowing you, which is equivalent to paying someone to go through the GSA. And so if you go through the SBIR process, you check off these boxes, you are enabled to sell to any federal customer. It's incredible. So here's how SBIR works. So your phase 1, you typically apply for a phase 1 award right out of the gate. There are some programs like NSF, or the Department of Energy that require a step here, which is like a letter of intent or a project pitch or a preliminary white paper, something like this. For those of you familiar with the terminology, it's an RFI or an RFP. And then, once you're invited to apply, or if you're looking for any other program, you could just apply for a phase 1. So all the DoD SBIRs, you could just apply straight for a phase 1 right out of the gate. So you apply for phase 1. They award you anywhere between $50,000 and $256,000. This is only dependent on the solicitation and the agency to which you're applying. This is your proof of concept stage, or this is normally 6 months for you to do a feasibility study of the actual technology being fit to a use case. Okay. After you've completed your 6-month feasibility study, you can come back and you apply a second time for a phase 2 award. Historically and statistically, about half of phase 1 awardees are awarded a phase 2. This is anywhere from $400,000 on the low end up to $1.6 million. Depending on the agency, the performance period here is anywhere from 12 to 24 months, depending on the program. This is your prototyping stage. This is an opportunity for you to test the technology, come out with a functional demo, and then you get to enter into the fun part. This is what this area here in between the phase 2 and the phase 2B or phase 3 is what the Department of Defense calls the Valley of Death. This is where most companies don't succeed. They have a lot of trouble moving from that initial demo into scaling their product to become marketable. And that's why there are so many really great programs within these federal agencies that offer commercialization assistance. There are programs, in the like phase 2B programs. For example, the NSF has one called I-Core, which is, I believe it's up to $1 million for their phase 2B. Then the NASA has one called the CCRP, the Civilian Commercialization Readiness Program, which they offer up to $6 million in one-to-one matching funds. The Air Force, we'll talk about the Air Force in a little bit, but the Air Force has one called StratFi, where they're actually offering up to a $15 million value in terms of revenue matching or hooking you up with a federally appointed VC or things like this to help scale your technology to be ready for market. But this is also the phase in which you contract. This is where you are able to negotiate contracts with federal customers. And this is something that we actually help you with at Eagle Point Funding. We have all sorts of really great, like we help you navigate a MOU process with federal customers, or we help to enroll you in pitch days and challenge events that can put you in front of the right people. We actually have one that we are actually starting. And the first summit will be in January 7th. I'll talk about that at the very end. I actually didn't build a slide for it, but I'll talk about it. So now let's talk about broad agency announcements. So BAAs are multidisciplinary grants that are given out for typically a period, it says 2 to 5 years. It's really 1 to 5 years. And there are two things that make BAAs unique from SBIRs. The first is that you don't have to continuously reapply based on phases in your R&D, like you do here. You apply here for phase 1, then you'll have to reapply for a phase 2 once you complete it. Then you have to come back and apply again for a phase 2B. Here, you apply one time. Once your application, your full proposal has been accepted. Now that full proposal is much longer. I mean, we're talking about 60-page white paper on the low end. You know, some of these applications can be 80 to 100 pages. You know, but once you're in, and you're funded continuously over this 1 to 5 year period, based on, and they fund you in segments based on milestones that you set in that initial proposal and budget requirements that you set in order to satisfy those milestones. Now, the second unique property when it comes to broad agency announcements is that the award ceiling, there virtually are no award ceilings. So technically, the most money that a program office can give you for a specific solicitation is the most money that they have to, you know, in the program. So if you have $100 million to satisfy solicitation, they could technically give all $100 million to one company, or they could give $1 million to 100 companies. It really just depends on, you know, a multitude of factors, like how well the company can satisfy the solicitation, how many other companies are applying, things like this. These are typically looking for long-term research, and it's you know, they have very broad topics of interest, as you will see in the Army Applications Lab BAA that I outlined for you. Now, what can you use this money for? You can, here are 7 things. Now, notice that trips to Hawaii are not on this list. And if you live in Hawaii, trips to Long Beach are not on this list. You know, so, but that being said, here's a whole slew of things that you can use the money for. Fun fact, you know, even though there are subcontractors on here and like outside advisors, you can also pay for out of this money. Under the guise of an SBIR grant, you have to do at least 2/3 of the work in-house. So 1/3 can be outsourced as long as it's not done outside the country, you know, but 2/3 does have to be done in-house. You'll notice also down here, they do leave room for profit. It's up to 7% profit. A lot of the SBIRs are around 5%, but some of them do offer 7%. And just to remind all of you who came late, all you have to do is hold your cell phone up to this QR code on the side here. You can book a call with me directly. And everyone who does book a call with me directly from this webinar does get an extra month of Eagle Point funding service on the house. So that being said, what does it take to win these grants? You have to have revolutionary tech, deep tech, pioneer tech, disruptive tech, whatever you want to call it. You have to be pushing the boundaries of technological science and innovation. Either that, or you have to be increasing the efficiency of a certain process, or decreasing the the amount of money that it takes to complete a certain process. You have to be doing, like I spoke with a company that's able to migrate data utilizing 97% of the bandwidth. You know, that's huge for those of you who know anything about systems integration. That's like 10 times what we get regularly. So, that's a great applicant for federal funding. So the set number 2 is you have to have a strong R&D team. Yeah, they're looking for PhDs, master's degrees, people who have commercial traction or history working for companies that that have done something, that have been able to successfully sell commercial products within their field, within their technological scope. And 3, you have to have commercially viable technology. We call this dual use technology. The US federal government is looking to make tax dollars on the products that they're helping you to develop. They don't want to be the only customers. Dual use meaning that you have to have, a federal application for the tech, and you have a private sector application for the technology. So now we're going to get a little bit into Eagle Point funding. So what we do at Eagle Point Funding is over an initial 9-month engagement with our clients, we are writing your submissions for you. We are applying to anywhere between 5 and 10 opportunities from the federal government that are directly relevant to the technology that you are already developing, your core technology. So here's what it takes to win. You have to go for this multi-submission approach. You have to find multiple funding opportunities that are applicable here. Now, historically, private submissions, if you're going to go for this stuff on your own, if you're going to go for these opportunities on your own, historically and statistically, you have and somewhere between an 8 and 15% chance of hitting on a submission. Now, this is where knowing the system comes into play. You have to have knowledge of how the system works. Not only how it works, though, but what do you need in order to get your submission accepted? What do you need to show them? What are the proper buzzwords? How much do you have to promise in your proposal? I mean, these are huge. 3, you have to build a clear business case. Like I said, the federal government is interested in helping you to reach commercialization for this technology that they're going to stimulate you to develop. They want to generate tax revenue from what you're developing. So you have to have a clear path to commercialization. 4, you tell the story of your technology in a concise and compelling manner. This is crucial. Grant writing is a narrative piece. This is not technical writing. This is not. I mean, I love you engineers, but you guys should leave the writing to the to the grant writers, to the storytellers, to the editors of newspapers, things like this. You have to be able to tell the story of your company and tell the story of your technology so that they actually want to fund you. And 5, you engage in a multi-submission strategy. Like I said, that goes with number 1. It's very important to be constantly scanning the federal funding landscape for opportunities that fit your tech and applying to the ones that fit best. There are so many out there. There's so many opportunities, and it is a very convoluted system. So about Eagle Point Funding. So we are a division of the Free Mind Group. We're an Israeli company. I'm speaking to you right now from just outside of Jerusalem. Here's what we're doing working in U.S. federal grants. In 1999, we started here in Israel. We were doing this for Israeli tech companies, working with grants from the Israeli government. Now, in response to anthrax in the early 2000s, we were able to help a couple US-based companies achieve millions of dollars in non-dilutive funding from the US government in order to combat chemical warfare initiatives. Since then, that was our entry into the US system, and we've been there ever since. Since then, we've scaled dramatically. We have 2 companies that work in the US with US grants. We have us, Eagle Point Funding, and then you'll notice down here, it says we work with all tech sectors outside of life sciences. That's because we have a sister company who works exclusively with biotech and life sciences applications. They work with Health and Human Services and NIH. Eagle Point Funding works with all other agencies, whether it be Department of Energy, Department of Transportation, Department of Education, the EPA, the USDA, the Department of Defense, NASA, like I said, the Department of Commerce, National Science Foundation. I mean, I can go on. You know, every acronym you can think of that is outside of NIH. But then we also have two companies that also work in Europe with European grants, like the Horizons grants or Sunrise grants. So we are literally a world leader in non-dilutive funding. Here are some of our statistics. You know, we're about 22 years now in the business. We come with relationships. We come with expertise. We come with, you know, we come with a true knowledge of this system. Now, again, you can book a call with me right here by just holding your smartphone up to the screen, and I would love to chat with you one-on-one about your company and how we can help you. Now, let's talk about some actual funding opportunities. Here are rapid funding catalysts, which are predicated on this B2G endgame. We're going to talk about two of them today because they're immediately relevant. X-Tech Search will be back. This is from the Navy. So will SVIP. This will be back very soon. We're expecting, I mean, we were expecting solicitations from them by the end of the year, but it's looking like it's going to go into funding year 2021. But we're going to talk about AFWERX and we're going to talk about the AAL today. So let's start with Army Applications Lab. This is a broad agency announcement. And so it's, you know, it is open. And what's really cool about the AAL is that it is virtually an open topic. If you have any these are the focus areas. These are the topics. And it's like sensing. Okay, if you have anything that has to do with sensing, whether it's, you know, like a human system, you know, like a personal sensor, or if it's a broader, you know, border security or something like this, those both apply. And the Army is interested in funding it, but only interested in funding it if they are, but they're only interested in funding it if it's going to be something that they're going to want to be a customer of at the end of the R&D road. So on average, they give out a $2 million award for anywhere between 1 and 3 years. They do, like I said, this is rapid funding. They you know, they only take about anywhere between 1 and 2 months to evaluate your proposal, but that is a full white paper, and this is not a SBIR, so you only apply one time to the AAL, and then they fund you continuously the whole time. So it is a fantastic opportunity. We love it. We submit most of our clients to it. We have great success there. So now let's talk about, this is what we're here for. Let's talk about the DoD SBIR 21.1. It is also an STTR opportunity. There is one, the Defense Microelectronics activity is they're looking for supercapacitors. That is an STTR only opportunity. I didn't actually put it in this presentation, but if you have that STTR, relationship with a nonprofit research partner, and you do have you know, semiconductor or superconductor or supercapacitor technologies, definitely book a call with me. Just hold your smartphone up to this QR code right here. But here's the deal. It opens on January 14th. We have the topics already. I actually put them in, I put a lot of them in this presentation. We'll go over them in a minute. But it opens January 14th and it closes February 18th. All the agencies have different funding amounts, but the most is $250,000 for phase 1. I believe that's actually from the Defense Health Agency. and that for a 6-month R&D period. All of the phase ones are 6-month R&D periods, with phase 2 awards being up to $1.5 million for a 2-year R&D period. They typically take between 3 and 5 months to evaluate proposals, and they will fund you anywhere between 5 and 6 months from the closure of this solicitation. Here are the focus areas. Here, there are a lot of topics. I put a lot of them, but I did not put all of them. So Navy. The Navy is our big solicitor this round. Medical logistics and resupply system, detection, location, and isolation of high resistance Y power systems, ground faults, naval air crew. I know you guys love hearing my voice, but I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going to sit on here for a minute. You guys can take a look at them. If you want to speak about any of these topics personally with me, I'm happy to do so. Excuse me. I'm happy to do so. Just book a call with me by holding your smartphone up to this QR code up here, and you'll also get an extra month of our service when you sign with us. I suppose this is actually a really great time to discuss this. When it comes to submissions, when it comes to proposals that are restricted by that are restricted by ITAR, the International Traffic in Arms, the regulation. We at Eagle Point Funding, as I mentioned, we are an Israeli company, so we do not, we will not, it's not beneficial for you to have us look at sensitive materials. All right. I apologize about that. So it is not beneficial for you to have us looking at sensitive materials, when it comes to ITAR restricted proposals. So that being said, typically what we do with our ITAR relevant companies, like our weapons technology companies, is we are building submissions for the NSF or for the DOE or for non-ITAR restricted applications, and then giving you access to these proposals. And that way, you have the base, and all you have to do is insert the restricted material that are necessary in order to to build out these submissions, and you can submit it on your own. So that being said, let's move on to the Defense Health Agency. Now, the DHA, like I said, their phase 1 award is a $250,000 award for a 6-month performance period. After completing that phase 1, you move on to a phase 2, which is $1.1 million for a 2-year R&D period. They have some really cool solicitations. Like this first one is actually really interesting. Efficient measurement of intermediate level impulse, noise, and subconcussive blast exposure on service members in operational military environments. Really what they're looking for here is they are looking for a wearable microphone that can take readings and measure the effect of subconcussive blast. And so this is actually a really great opportunity for for sensor technology or for any sort of audio technology, or this wearable radio frequency weapon exposure detector. that can notify a a base camp that a warfighter has been exposed to a certain biological weapon. So this is there's some really great topics here. So here we have the DLA. They are interested, if they're interested in recycling initiatives for scrap materials and that come from 3D printing. 3D printing is taken off, and it is really great, and we're able to print things from organs to auto parts. And but the problem is there's scrap materials that accumulate, and so they're looking for ways to reuse or recycle these scraps. The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the NGA, their solicitation this round of the DoD is a direct to phase 2, meaning that you skip the phase 1 feasibility study, you move right into a $1 million prototyping period with the NGA. Now, let's talk about AFWERX. Now, those of you who don't know about AFWERX, I'm going to blow your mind. AFWERX was started in 2017. Now, this is the United States Air Force's SBIR. Since 2017, AFWERX has been engaging small businesses in a way that has broken away from the traditional, we'll let you know in 3 to 5 months, and we'll fund you in 6 months, and then you're going to go through your phase 1, which is 6 months, and you're going to go through your phase 2, which is 2 years, and then we'll talk about contracting with you. AFWERX is different. AFWERX is a fast funding catalyst. They will let you know in 30 days. And what the coolest thing about AFWERX is that this is solving the unknown problem. It's an open topic. They don't want, they post their focus areas, they do, but the idea is that if you have cool tech and you have a way that the Air Force can use it, you don't have to wait for them to post a focus area or solicitation that directly engages your company. No, you apply and you say, hey, listen, I have this really cool technology. Here is how the United States Air Force can use it. And you submit a phase 1 proposal, and then they will fund you. They give out about 1,500 phase 1 awards per year. And all of this is predicated on a follow-on contract. All of this, they're only funding technologies that they want to become a customer of. So here's how it works. Their phase 1 is not a feasibility study period. Their phase 1 is not a proof of concept. Your concept should already be proven as far as the United States Air Force is concerned. This is a customer discovery phase. Phase 1, they're going to give you 50 grand, and they're going to give you 2 months. Well, 2 months plus 1 month of reporting. So they're going to give you 3 months to go out and find a stakeholder within the Air Force who is both an end user of the technology and is a decision maker who can pull the trigger and sign an MOU. You are going to have to draft an MOU. Well, if you work with us, we draft the MOU, and we help you identify all of the stakeholders that are applicable to your technology. But let's back up a second. Before you even apply to a phase 1, over here, you sign up with Eagle Point Funding. We are going to work with you to develop the exact use case that will have the highest potential to be funded by or to be purchased by an Air Force client. So we are going to take the knowledge and information that we already have, based on the relationships that we've established, and our vast experience in this field being tapped into this vein, and we are going to help you to devise the right use case to apply to AFWERX with. Okay? So then we're going to submit a phase 1 proposal. They're going to grant you a phase 1. Then in here, we're going to help you reach out to all those stakeholders. We're going to help you. We're going to help you identify those stakeholders, and we'll coach you on how to reach out to them. Now, this is also where I would like to plug, that Deep Tech Showcase again. So this is, I'll give you a little bit more. So we're starting a community of of companies, of industry partners, and systems integrators, and agency stakeholders are also welcome, not only from the Air Force. We love the Air Force, don't get me wrong, but we're inviting stakeholders from the Army, from the Navy, from SOCOM, from everywhere, and people who are interested, from DHS, from DARPA, who are interested in new technologies, in meeting companies and being matched with companies. And we're inviting them to this summit that we're calling Deep Tech Showcase. Now, if you're interested in Deep Tech Showcase, I don't have my QR code on this page, but book a call with me. I'll tell you more about it. And the idea here is to help our clients get the MOU signed. I mean, we already have tremendous success with helping our clients find the right stakeholders to reach out to and get those signatures. But once you have a signature, you come back and you apply for phase 2. Now, phase 2 is this is the same. This is an opportunity for you to prototype your technology, to show them what you can do with it. They're going to give you anywhere from $750,000. They'll even add matching funds up to $1.5 million. Then you enter into phase 3, which is your contracting phase or the commercialization assistance, as outlined right here. Now, again, if you want to hear more about any of this stuff, just book a call with me. Hold your phone up to this QR code right here. So, like I said, phase 1, $50K, 2 months plus 1 month of reporting. Your goal in that 2 months, this is business development money, people. This is not for R&D. This is for you to go out and find that customer. Now, once you have found the customer, you apply for phase 2. If you already have your customer, and we do have clients who come to us with Air Force customers already, they say, we just want to make sure that we are going to get in for direct to phase 2. We already have our customer. We recognize that they don't fund many phase 2s. And we recognize that there are a lot of fishermen in that lake. Just to stick with the same analogy, a lot of fishermen in the AFWERX lake. And you guys, and Eagle Point funding is fantastic when it comes to, especially from, moving from a phase 1 to a phase 2. And so this is why we're going to work with you. We want you to help us go direct to phase 2, and we have our customers, so you can go direct to phase 2. Interestingly enough, most of the people who we go direct to phase 2 with, we also submit a phase 1 proposal. And if you want to talk about that more, I can certainly talk about that more. Just book a call with me privately. But that being said, your phase 2 is it's actually a 13-month phase, prototyping phase. 12 months plus 1 month of reporting, $750,000 up to $1.5 million. Now, I have heard of companies getting much more than $1.5 million when they've found matching funds from either the Air Force Research Labs or private sources or something like this. But the idea is to demonstrate the technology. Then phase 3 is commercialization assistance. I mentioned earlier they have a Strat 5 program. The Air Force has an arm that they call AFWERX, they appoint federally appointed VCs to companies that are looking for commercialization assistance. And then the program office matches the funds that the VC puts in. This is up to a $15 million value. Last summer, they actually had an initiative that they called Agility Prime, which this number was up to $60 million. So the Air Force is loving stimulating technological advancement. They're really interested. Some of their some of their hot topics right now are space. They have their Space Force program. Another so space, and energy, renewable energy, things like this. So here are some of our winners. I'll breeze through these very fast. I know we're almost out of time, and I do want to give time for questions. But we've helped a lot of people. Bottom line, we love AFWERX. We have helped some people go direct to phase 2, then go on to get a phase 3 of $6 million. Things like this. So what to expect when you work with Eagle Point Funding? I am going to, like I said, I'm going to move quickly through this. When you sign a contract with us, within 24 to 48 hours, we are going to have a kickoff call with you. On that kickoff call, we are going to roadmap the next 3 to 5 months. Or on that initial kickoff call, we're actually going to learn about the technology so that we can go off and find opportunities. By the end of the first week, we have a second call where we roadmap those next 3 to 5 months, identifying all the opportunities that are relevant to your technology. And then we consult you, put it all on a Gantt chart, and then we get to work. By the end of that first week, we start writing our first proposal. Now, it takes us typically about 3 to 4 weeks to complete each proposal. On average, we're submitting actually 7 to 10 opportunities because we're completing 1 per month. Now, for the first submission, it's going to require the most amount of effort on your part because we don't know your company. We don't know your technology, not nearly as well as you do. And so for the first submission, we say that you guys are responsible for about 40% of that workload. And that's really because we're going to go through the process hand in hand with you. This is the best way for us to learn about you so that we can sell you to the United States federal government. But after that first submission, and by the way, so 20 to 60 hours over a 3 to 4 week period. Now, after that first submission, that 40% of the workload goes down to 20%. We're taking on 80% of the workload. We say it's up to 10 hours over that 3 or 4 week period that you'll be responsible for. Now, this also includes the weekly calls that we have with you to go over the submissions we're working on or present new opportunities as they come up, things like this. Now, as I said, 5 to 10 submissions over a 9-month-long engagement. If you book a call with me and you sign a contract from a webinar, you get 10 months instead of 9 months. So just hold your smartphone up to that QR code and book a call with me. So I'm going to address, I'll open up the floor for Q&A. But before I do that, I know the question is coming. What is your business model? So I would like to tell you. Like I said, we've been around for a long time, right? We value our service anywhere between $80,000 and $150,000 for that 9-month engagement. Now, we recognize that most of the companies that we work with are small business or startups who either A, can't afford this kind of money, or B, are unwilling to. And so what we try to do is we try and structure our fee in a way that's balanced between a success fee of 5%. That's 5% of anything that we win for you in terms of federal funding dollars, and then an upfront fee. Now, the upfront fee is a consultancy fee, and it is meant to be affordable yet substantial enough that after we've put together a 60-page white paper for you, you don't say, oh, you know what, Matt, I don't think we want to go forward with the grant. We don't want you to walk away. So we make it something you don't want to walk away from. So that being said, our upfront fee is paid in one of 2 ways. Either 2 payments of $18,000. The first payment, that's 1/8. The first payment of 18 is made upon signing with us. The second payment is made at the 5th month of our initial 9-month engagement. Now, For those of you who would like to pay all up front, instead of a total of $36,000, you pay a flat $30,000 up front. That's our business model. And this gets you, I mean, if you book a call with me from the webinar, it gets you 10 months. If you don't, it gets you 9 months. All right. So let's see here. Let's open up the floor for some Q&A, and let's see what you guys have. First question: AFWERX $50,000 Phase 1 SBIR are for rapid customer discovery and product market fit, correct? Are applications rapidly evaluated? For example, the previous application deadline was November 5th. When will the recipients receive notification of the award? James, we are all on the edges of our seats. They actually said that they were, you know, AFWERX has historically, historically notified within 30 days of their submission of their solicitation closing, and funded within 60 days. And however, we are over that November 5th, you know, submission window closing, and you know, we're 30 days over, and they haven't notified. So we're all sitting on the edge of our seats. We don't know when they're going to be notified. We are holding our first Deep Tech Showcase on January 7th. The idea of holding that Deep Tech Showcase is that we are going to have they're going to have notified the awardees that they've won, so that we can help them to get MOUs. What does GWR stand for from the DoD slide? GWR stands for General War Reserves Military, I believe. General War Reserves. Right. At what stage should your idea be to get funding? Will I get funding for an idea or prototype or an actual working MVP? So if you have that's a great question, Jeff. So if you have a prototype already, you're in a good space for funding. Now, you know, that's also going to be contingent on whether or not your key tech builders have a history of building good technologies. If you guys are fresh out of college and you just have this idea and you've come up with a prototype, I would wait until you have an MVP. Can you pay the success fee from the awards? Dave, that's a great question. We have had people find ways to build it into the award, and you know, we are considered outside advisors. I've had people find ways to build it into the TABA. I've had, you know, but most of the time, our clients end up taking it from the portion of the award that's allocated towards profit, because you can actually utilize the award money to pay salaries. So that's typically where our clients take it from. But you can take it from anywhere you want, and you can build it in any way you like. On average, how many contract wins do you expect in those 10 months with your 5 to 10 submissions? Well, it depends on what we're going for. If you're a BAA only company, you know, so bottom line, how much do we expect to win depends very, very strongly on the technology, how many submissions we're writing, it depends on the type, like I said, like BAA or other topics or SBIRs. But we expect our clients, we expect to hit on 1 out of every 3 SBIRs that we submit, 1 out of every 4 or 5 BAAs that we submit. So when it comes to, so if you got 10 submissions, we would expect to hit on 3, right? What are the AFWERX success rates? So there were a record number of submissions in this last session, this last 20.3 AFWERX round, and our success rates in AFWERX historically are really, really great. We don't give numbers per se, but I can tell you that I think that we have only had we've had less than 5 people not be able to convert from a phase 1 to a phase 2. Will you be sharing this presentation with attendees? I wouldn't mind listening to it again. That's really, really, really nice to hear. Yes, we will be sending it out. My marketing manager, Leora, will be sending out the recording to everybody who was on the webinar. All right. Do we have any other questions? Oh, we got some in the chat box. Please confirm your slides will be available to participants. Yes. We are going to be sending out, like I said, we're going to be sending out the recording for you all. Does anyone else have any other questions? I would love to answer them. All right. Does EPF drop off of percentage success after initial funding, or are we contracted through others? Stephen, I would love to understand this question a little bit better. After being initially funded, do we? You know what? Stephen, would you mind? I'm giving you permission to open up your microphone. If you
Okay.
it's a good question. Hi,
Yes,
how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. How's it in Israel today?
It's really, really great. Actually, now is the now it's like the rainy season. So it started a couple days ago, but things are going well. We're not dealing with anything like the Northeast, is dealing with right now. That's for sure.
Well,
But anyway,
I'm in sunny Tucson. It's a beautiful day here. So basically,
okay.
You guys are helping us to get funded. My
Right.
question is on the 5% success, that could grow pretty quick for you guys and good. If you
Right.
find us the phase 1, is that contracted? If we then get a phase 2 and a phase 3, does that 5% still apply? I'm sorry, my question wasn't clear. Just
No,
trying
it's
to
okay.
type before you
So-
close out.
No problem. No problem. So if we are only, so we don't take a percentage of any contract that you actually negotiate in a phase 3, or any commercialization assistance that you might receive from a federal agency. We take 5% only on proposals that we submit on your behalf. So we are, when it comes to, so phase 1, if we're doing the writing, we're doing the submission, great. We take a 5% success fee on that. Phase 2, If we're doing the writing and we're doing the submission, yes, again, we're taking 5% on it. If you contract with us for the phase 1 and then don't contract with us for a phase 2, we are not entitled to anything.
Copy. Thank you very much.
You got it. My pleasure. All right. Do you have examples of companies that were funded and have contracts today with some of the agencies? Yes, I definitely do, Jeffrey. But I'm going to, you should book a call with me privately and we can talk about it. We only give references to, to potential clients who are ready to move forward with us, or at least very close to it. All right. Once we have a contract for 9 months, how does our relationship go forward once we have an award? Do you continue to work through phase 1 and then again a 9-month contract for phase 2? Great question. We are hoping to win you multiple awards. So that's the idea. All right. But Gautam, I actually have to jump off. I have another webinar starting 6 minutes ago. Be well, everybody, and I look forward to speaking with you privately. Thank you.